Here,
not here to recap
after, and we've been here since.
No, we're not.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I'm
it
sure
was
you
tough.
have some highlights that day.
Luckily, it's been 3
3
years, so
we have a lot of things to talk
Yes.
about today. So probably best that we just get straight into it.
It's going to be a pretty packed show. We got
100%.
Scylla, the new god.
We got that dog.
Lots of new skins.
We got that
new
dog
one
at the
market,
beginning of
two
our,
new
like,
aspects that we're going to be talking about.
next step of our
And
life.
we're
We
gonna
got
be
a
talking about
house,
God
got
and
a
item balance
dog,
too.
had
Probably
kids,
won't have a whole lot of time
married
for Q&A
with that
towards
dog.
the
Yeah,
end,
he was a
but we're
very
gonna
important.
hop right into it. And shall we start with the star of the show, Scylla, Clumsy? What's going on with Scylla in Smite 2?
Sweet. So yeah, we talked about her. I think we spoiled some of the
Just
stuff.
a little
going
bit
on
because
with
she was in a
Scylla
flash test.
A bit
Yeah.
last time, yeah. But yeah, we've been cooking with Scylla. We think she's feeling
Dog
better
was the
than ever
first
in
child,
Smite
yes.
2. The flash
100%.
test went honestly really well. You know, I think even during that time, I was going into all these different channels. I was like, guys, like it's a flash test.
I gotta
There's still
work.
temp effect stuff going
Thanks for
on.
stopping
there's,
by.
like, something about these effects don't look right. It's like, yeah,
Thanks for
Yeah.
stopping by.
give us a second and we'll get there. But she's
Hope
feeling better than ever.
whatever work you're gonna
she's
do
looking
is
really good.
as
And
fun
yeah,
as
do you
possible.
want to go through all the different
Yeah, I will
components
bring
of
up
her,
the
or-
handy dandy desktop here. Give me a second
Show me,
to
buddy.
make sure that we've got everything here.
Beautiful. Heck
There
Mellow
she
went to
is.
Syracuse?
Let me
Yeah,
make
I
sure
watched
that
him play, yeah.
have the
Apex W.
desktop unmuted, so we
I love
should have
Apex.
audio
I haven't
now.
played it in a long time, but love it.
I can hear
I hear
Scylla. Sweet. So, of course, Scylla, the effects are looking really good here. So,
Yeah.
Clumsy, you want to just start off with the passive. For the folks who didn't have a chance to tune into that last show
Show
or
us,
didn't
buddy.
tune in or hop in that flash test, let's talk about Scylla and her and Smite
I'll
2.
stop in more.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
So just making sure I have my notes here ready so I don't miss anything. But yeah, there's Scylla, to reiterate what we talked about last time, I'm going to try not to use my left hand so I just don't keep blocking as I... Let me move this over here. We took the time to make sure that Scylla in Smite 2, you know, didn't just get kind of a +1 feeling on everything, but she also got a little bit of a shift on certain parts where we could make sure that she feels a little bit more specialized, there's that word again, in what she brings into the game. And that being said, we know Scylla's super beloved, so we didn't want to go crazy there. We just want to make sure that she feels really good and as best as she can be in Smite 2.
Yeah.
So, a few things. One, the passive. Previously on the third ability Sentinel, she actually used to gain mana regen, and that was MP5 in Smite 1 or MP1 in Smite 2. But that's actually been moved over from the ranking of the ability 3 to Quick Learner instead. So anytime you get a max ability,
Scylla,
you'll be getting
W.
a mana regen.
I'm so excited.
On Scylla as well. So that'll be there.
I'm
Kinda
so
small thing
excited.
there. There's also a lot of different, as you can see here, there's a lot of different effects that each ability gains when they reach max rank. First ability, Sikkim, nothing changes at all because it feels great and everything is perfect about it. So this is going to be working the exact same way it did before. Where you send out the 2 hounds. It does the root, it cripples, and at max rank, it does that in not quite an AoE, but it technically hits 2 gods nearby, or 2 enemies nearby. In an area around her, but it's not around the enemy that got hit. So it's not going to apply to everyone. I just wanted to clarify that for those who don't know Scylla very well. But going on to the second ability, Crush is where we start seeing a little bit more of that change. So generally, it works pretty similar, but at max rank now, enemies in the area will have their protections reduced as usual, and that's slow, but it'll persist after the refire.
Correct, yeah.
So once you use it, you'll actually see that it has the timer elements, all that, but then the field actually lingers in just a more subtle state to indicate that the debuff effects are still there.
Yeah.
So
And it also slows.
yes, and it also slows. So it's got the slow effect,
Slow
and
and a
the
debuff, and the
debuff
slow
effect,
and the debuff
while
will
that area still
persist
persists.
as a
Yeah,
slow
they're obviously
after.
within- actually, the flash test didn't mention it so much, but we internally in the devs have kind of just been making sure we have this little caveat of like, we know this will probably feel pretty good because there is actually a trade-off here. In Smite 1 at max rank, the debuff effect would actually linger on the enemies that were hit for 1 second. So while before it was more of like a target.
Technically not T-Dog, because when you max ranked it before in Smite 1, it would persist after you even walked out of it. You would be slow, and so now it's only if you're continuing to stand in it. So it lost that
if that starts to feel too
buff
oppressive.
of it
while we don't wanna
persisting
nerf it
after
immediately, want people to
you
play
leave
around
the
with it,
circle.
first thing
Now
that we have
it's
on our
the
radar.
circle lasts longer. So you have to be more
the slow
strategic with
field
your
can
circle. It
be
doesn't just,
pretty
they don't just get
strong
the
fights,
debuff for 1 second after leaving the
okay,
circle.
going to the third ability, Sentinel.
Now,
So
if you're in
Sentinel
it,
got a
it'll
little bit of a
persist for an
+1 in
extra
the fact
second.
that now it is always going to be doing the line of sight vision, because it creates kind of like a deployable vision area around it, like a ward. But it'll still have that scaling vision radius, as you can see there, from 6 meters to 12.8 meters. So you are gaining a benefit by ranking up for the vision radius. But also there's
Poly
a new effect
auto
you can see in
after
Sentinel has
using your
damage and damage
3.
scaling. What's that all about? Well, now
An
when
additional
Scylla
auto
uses
damage
Sentinel,
after
it
using your
specifically
3.
teleports to it. She'll gain a buff for a little bit of time, and that'll let her next basic attack do a little bit of extra bonus damage. And the max rank, because that's happening all the time. At max rank, if you hit an enemy god with that empowered buff, she'll actually get a reset, a few seconds flat cooldown reset on her abilities that are on cooldown.
Yep. I saw
3-second
press
cooldown
reset.
reset.
Yeah, exactly. So a little bit more excitement there. And I know there was some talks in the flash test, but I did mention this.
So if you
before,
three
and I wanna mention it again.
at
The
max
goal is
rank
for her
and then
to
teleport
gain the
in
buff when
and
she
you
uses
hit
it
that
aggressively,
auto,
when she does the teleport. Because I
it's
wanted
going to
make sure
reduce
that
your
she's kind of
active
using this
cooldowns of
new
your
damage
1 and your
effect
2 by
all
3
the time when
seconds
she's
if you
being
hit that
aggressive.
auto.
Aggressively and not
So it
all
put
the time.
damage
Yeah,
on
so
her
you just send
3.
that sentinel out there. You're not
So if
getting
you
a
use
damage
it
debuff-
aggressively,
sorry,
you're going to
buff
get
effect just for
cooldown
being in the current area.
resets,
You're not getting
a
it for
flat
being
cooldown
defensive.
reset on your 1 and
You're
your
only getting
2.
it if you're acting
So, but if you use,
And
so
it
if you use
was
it
really
defensively,
only a
it's
defensive
nothing's
tool
changed.
in
You don't
Smite
get
1.
anything.
It's always
If
just
you
use it to
3
run
in
away.
aggressively,
You know, a lot of times you'd like throw out your sentinel. And then
actually,
you'd run
to
up
be
and
fair,
you'd crush, and then you'd run away.
wait,
Yeah,
do you have to
exactly.
teleport to it first?
It's like,
or-
it's-
okay, hold on. It's
I
after
like
you teleport
plus
to it. That
ones
makes sense.
Add to the ways that you can use an ability and encourage new play patterns
Exactly.
with a god.
Give
that
you
can play
another
for
option,
forever,
right?
So I think this is a really good one.
Does that
and,
proc after
if
you
also
teleport
have
or
Colin,
during?
Then,
Wait.
Then you're getting
Oh,
the
yeah.
extra bonus.
and maybe also a Hydras, and then you just do a
Ooh,
great.
all right, yeah. And yeah, exactly. So the max rank cooldown reset as well is baked into
that proc
plus
after
one.
you-
So you're
after
only
you
really getting
actually
this new max
teleport,
rank benefit
or after
of
you
the
cast
Sentinel
it?
in Smite 2 if you're being aggressive.
After? Okay,
Just
hopefully.
doubling down on that aggressive. But if you still want to use it defensively, of course you still can. It's still a very good tool for that.
Yeah. All right, and let's talk about the ultimate. I'm a monster.
Yeah, so the ultimate, again, a few shifts there. One of the shifts being in Smite 1, she would get that movement speed, 35%, but at max rank, it would actually double to 70%. With the 3 change, the 4 change, one of the things that we're trying to focus in on there is that Scylla has a lot of offensive potential, but she's also quite evasive, to be honest, with the previous Sentinel and I'm a Monster effects. So now we want to make sure that, at least in this small regard, we're kind of pulling away a little bit of that and trying to reintroduce a little bit more of that offense. One of the trade-offs as well that I didn't mention was that on the Crush, oh yeah, look at the new effects and the timer wheels and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
On the Crush, there was a previous 20%, I think, extra damage to minions and jungle monsters specifically that we added. We removed that component, so she's actually going to have a little bit of a tougher early game experience, but her mid to late game will feel a little bit stronger. And that's because one of the new effects for I'm a Monster is that throughout the game, and you can see baked into her passive meter there, she's actually gaining stacks, and she's gaining stacks by damaging enemy gods and extra stacks for killing enemy gods. Those stacks don't do anything until max rank of your yeah, they don't do anything ever, right? We just like the extra
know,
numbers.
you know, stacking.
Just a
Everybody
nice
loves
little
to stack.
counter.
Yeah, exactly. No, at max rank of I'm a Monster, as its benefit, instead of the movement speed doubling, you'll actually be gaining bonus damage and bonus damage scaling, as you can see there, 5 per stack, which is actually not a lot, but the 0.02% per stack will add up for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Technically infinitely, or to 999 for the most part, but that's going to be extremely unlikely. So you'll be gaining that bonus damage at the max rank. So that's level 20. You're not going to be gaining that stacking benefit you're doing throughout the game until your max rank. And in some games, you may not actually ever get there. So that's something to keep in mind. Yes, because it stacks quote unquote indefinitely, that could lead to some hilarious circumstances. I discussed this with ambassadors and internally to just, did we want a safety valve? Did we want diminishing returns? They said, nah, let's just have fun.
Let it rock,
So we're going to let it ride. If we start seeing her reliably getting to triple
Just
digits,
alt
which would be
Danza when he has
extremely
700
unlikely,
clones out and just
then
stack
I
it to
would
all the damage in the
stack
world.
with a nerf hammer. So, but not yet.
Sweet. Well, that is Scylla in Smite 2. Again, lots of progress made on the visual effects and stuff since the flash test. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, there's still some. I think there's still a couple of things left, but for the most part, good.
And good showing off. You do still get the resets on the kills.
Yes.
It's the arena pentakill god.
Oh, yeah.
One of the many. Is back and still as much fun as always. So.
You would have to get a
really
lot
fun
of
playtest.
ults off before that would start to be a
Good,
big
but not
impact.
overly good, I would say. It
yeah,
depends
I
on the
would
playtest.
Yeah, it depends on the playtest, and I would say that feeling of, hey, wow, my early game is not so good, definitely exists, and then her late game, like, if a game goes
What
to
are the
35
plus
minutes
ones?
plus, you're going to see her still hitting like a truck. Like I think that aim there does feel good, and I want to keep honing in on that because there's going to be a lot of players who go, oh, damn, I can't wave clear, or ooh, I can't even clear red buff by myself, or whatever it may be.
After
That's
you
kind of
3,
intentional.
you
shouldn't
have
be
an
early
empowered
and late game
auto.
powerhouse. You're going to suffer there.
So
Maybe
after you 3 and you
shore that up a little
teleport,
bit
you have
with
an
the
empowered auto, almost like a
Polynomicon,
poly
or
auto,
with
and
the
if you
help
hit
of
somebody
the
with an
gem,
auto,
or conduit gem
so
for
if
your
you
star
dash
items to really help that
aggressively
wave clear a little bit,
and hit the
divine
auto, it'll
ruin for that
decrease your
extra damage.
cooldowns
There's
by
options
3
now to
seconds of
start,
your 1 and your 2.
shoring up those weaknesses,
And then
but
every time you
should
kill
feel
somebody
that,
with
and
your
that's
ult,
very
you
much
get
intentional.
stacking more
I'm
damage
super
on your
excited
ult.
for folks to get their hands on Scylla in the open beta 11 update. I know lots of community
If you
members
kill
have been
somebody
waiting for
or
Scylla to
hit
come to
somebody with
Smite
your
2,
ult,
so
the more
it's
you
gonna be
do
super
it,
sick seeing people,
it'll
be
give
able
you
to
more
play with
damage
her
on your
finally
ult every
when she
time.
releases. in the next update.
Gonna run through a few quick questions about Scylla before we move on, just because I think it's good to address a couple things. Does the bonus int percent scaling have an extra 0 in it? 0.02% is nothing.
I will double check. That does seem.
But I think you are getting stacks
When you're getting
quite
to,
regularly.
let's say 20 or 30, so it should, like, this isn't meant to double your Scylla ulti damage.
Ganesh isn't coming until 2 weeks after this. They kind of just gave them
a. Scylla's 2 is out, does the 3 auto still?
They kind of just gave
cooldown,
us a
or do you need
sneak
to have your
peek
crush?
teaser during the
crush pops.
So it needs to be on cooldown.
God
Okay.
roadmap
Your
thing.
ulti, if I remember correctly.
Ooh, that's
Can
spicy.
you still explode your 2 after you're dead, or is that something you took away?
You can still explode your 2 after you're dead. I will say completely subjectively, I think that's nonsense, but that's fine. It's Smite 1 parody.
Yeah.
Awesome. And does her 3
I also
give
agree. I also
2
think that's
polyprox?
nonsense.
It would only give 1.
It only gives 1.
But you are also getting the damage from the
Yes,
3.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
Sweet. That's the main questions that popped up here. And I think we can move on to the next thing.
Cool. Let's get into her Ascension Pass then, and we will show off the content for that. We've got Shadow Scylla. This screen is still
Oh my
temp.
God, her eyes.
Of course, as you can see, we've got some Susanoo icons that are temp. The card effects aren't quite done yet, but we will show off the things that we can show off.
I'll note that Scylla's card art is actually being updated.
Yeah.
I think that the art team wanted to rework one of her recolor card arts from Smite 1 and turn that into the default because they thought it just worked better and was a better piece of art. So that's in progress right now and will be coming in sometime in the next day or two, I would assume.
All right, well, we got Shadow Scylla here, and then the tracker is Refire. Refire kills with the ultimate, I'm a monster. So, tried and true, that's a classic Scylla tracker there. You've got your Mastery emotes, her clap, your Objectives Destroyed tracker, your God Assist tracker. The second premium tracker for Scylla, though, is Triple Rooted. The number of times Scylla has rooted 3 or more
I got a
gods.
typo there that we can do.
Yes.
2 Ps.
If we put 3 Ps,
I was
it
just
would
thinking
have been
that.
fine.
If we had 3 Ps, that actually
Should it be
kind of
3 or
funny.
1 P?
Right,
Chat.
yeah.
3 Ps or 1 P?
Yep. Next up, we have got Onyx Scylla. I love the black and gold. Oh, I love the textures on the dress here, too, as well. Looks super cool. We have got Opal as well.
Love the opal.
I love
Looks
the
good for her.
opal.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
Her global emote is Confused. She whips an ult or something.
Oh my
She's
God.
like, I don't
Her
know.
little
I love the
deep
gaps in the teeth.
For all of them. They're adorable.
That's good.
That's good.
That's
I like
really
that one.
good.
I want to use that.
You've got
That's
the
good.
wave. Her title is Deep Sea Horror. And then you've got the God Kills. I believe the badge is still in progress because the card artist, of course, is still temporary.
Yep.
But Radiant Scylla on the
Ooh,
final,
nice.
the level 10
Man,
reward.
this always looks so
I like it.
That looks super sick.
That's pretty good.
And then, of course, you'll get diamonds on this as well. The card effects aren't quite done yet.
Always the last thing to come
Always the last thing to come in. But yeah, that is Scylla in Smite 2 in Open Beta 11. So
yeah.
I think moving along, we've got...
One thing